As most people will be aware, the majority of people who buy vehicles like this never put them through anything more challenging than a trip to school or the local supermarket. But this week we've come to look at the flip side of that, a sport where people put their four-wheel drive wagons through the limits of their capability and often beyond. Welcome to the world of off-road trials. There are many different classes of off-road trialling, but basically they fall into two groups. The first is for standard production vehicles, and the second is a modified class. Machines built for one purpose and one purpose only. And as so often on Maxx, in the modified class, anything goes. A trial consists of 8 or more sections through various types of terrain. Competitors have to steer their car through a series of marked cones, requiring a high level of car control from the driver. Stopping on the course or touching the markers pick up penalty points. The driver who completes all the sections with the least penalty points is the winner. Let's find out a bit more about the sport. Jenny, why on earth are you involved in this sport?
I don't know. My dad started doing it about 10 years ago, and when I was little I used to come and passenger him, and then as I passed my driving test I started doing it myself.
So how long have you been actually involved in participating?
Well, as I said, I've been passengering since I was 14, because you have to be 14 to passenger. Passed my test at 17, so I've been driving for 4 years.
And how successful have you been during that time?
I think last year I came 3rd overall in the championship, so quite good.
There's no separate championship for ladies?
No.
Good, that's the way it should be,
me.
really. There's only you.
So I'd win it, wouldn't I?
No, that's the best way to be. So, one of the things, I mean, looking at the cars, they're very substantially built.
Yeah.
And someone was explaining to me this morning that if you roll over, it doesn't really matter because you're okay.
No, I mean, you've got your full harness on.
Yeah.
The roll cage is not going to move, so.
And the speeds are quite slow, really, as well.
Yeah.
So is it, it is an especially safe sport?
Yeah. And the most you do is get muddy. One
of the interesting things about this sport in particular I've noticed this morning is that there is a competitive edge to it all, but everybody is kind of not competitive. They just want people to do well. And I think one of the things, someone said it to me earlier, it's the fact that sooner or later everybody is going to mess up, everybody's going to get stuck.
Yeah.
And so they've got to be dragged out. Is that pretty much how it sums up one of the attractions of the sport?
There's a few people that are just here to win, but most people, they just come to have a laugh.
It's not a sport for prima donnas, is it?
No.
And it's certainly not a sport for checkbook racers, I don't think.
No.
Is that the beauty of it?
Yeah, it's it can be expensive if you want it to be, but I mean we don't spend much on this, really.
Well, speaking of this, underneath all this mud, can you give us a brief explanation of what it actually started out as?
Well, it used to be a Series 1 Land Rover, chopped all the body down, the wings, all around the back, and he's altered the engine. My dad's altered the engine slightly. He's changed it to coil sprung, changed all the back suspension as well.
Because you need huge amounts of suspension travel.
Yeah. There's a couple still on leaf springs, but doesn't get up the hills as well. And we've got these tyres on, which you wouldn't have on the road. So.
Apart from that, it's pretty much standard.
Yeah.
And in terms of cost, how cheaply could someone get started in competing?
The tyres can be quite expensive, but apart from that, it's only entrance fees, which is £12 a day.
And fuel?
Fuel, this one doesn't use much at all, really. Some of the V8s put quite a bit of fuel away, but this petrol is not too bad.
Let's see some of these machines in action. So how did it go?
Not too good. I got stuck a few times in all the mud. Not beating my dad either. So.
Bad. Is that a bad thing, not beating your dad?
Yeah, because normally I do. So.
We was watching up. I've been watching all the stuff this morning, and a lot of people are getting stuck up there because it's very wet and very muddy. Is that the norm?
No. Normally, perhaps just pull one person out in the whole day. But it's very. When we laid out on Friday, It was quite dry, and then today it's rained since, so it's very muddy up there.
So what are your plans this afternoon? Just concentrate more on what you're doing as opposed to what everybody else does?
Yeah, hopefully clear a few more sections and
Be your dad.
be my dad.
Well, I'll let you get on and do what you've got to do, and good
Okay.
luck for this afternoon.
Thank you.
It's been quite an interesting day here because although it's a competitive event, the people don't actually seem to be that competitive. All they really want to do is have a laugh and enjoy themselves, but they also want everybody else to enjoy themselves, which is the most important thing of all. So next time you're driving along and you see someone in a shiny 4x4, someone somewhere is putting that car to proper use.